It's Tuesday morning. You arrive at work to find that your office building or work site has suffered damage or is inaccessible due to a natural disaster, man-made incident, or other unforeseen event. Your organization's life-saving occupant emergency plans guide you and your colleagues to safety. But now what? How will your organization continue to execute its mission, perform essential functions, deliver services, and serve our citizens? Continuity of operations.
What you need to know.
Citizens, stakeholders, and other organizations count on you, especially in times of crisis. Continuity planning ensures that while certain assets of an organization may have been damaged, the organization as a whole does not fall victim to the event. Continuity programs are required for the federal executive branch and several state government organizations, and they are a fundamental necessity for all groups, whether at the federal, state, tribal, territorial, or local levels, or in the private sector. While continuity planning is the responsibility of individual organizations, it is critical that everyone has an established continuity program. We are all dependent on others to accomplish our functions, so a failure in any part of the system will impede success. It is important for all organizations to develop robust continuity capabilities built on a common set of best practices. We approach continuity planning through 4 phases. Phase 1. Readiness and preparedness, to prepare before an event occurs. Phase 2. Activation and relocation immediately following the incident or upon hearing of an imminent threat. Phase 3. Continuity operations to sustain the organization's operation over the course of the disruption. The last phase, Phase 4, Reconstitution, brings your organization back to a steady state at your original building or in a new location. No matter your role in your organization, everyone has a role in continuity planning. Between natural disasters, man-made incidents, and other unforeseen events, every organization must prepare for an emergency before it occurs. It's better to ask the hard questions now and to plan for them, rather than to scramble when an event occurs. This brings us to the first phase of continuity planning: readiness and preparedness. In Phase 1, organizations must make the commitment to dedicate funds, resources, and time to continuity planning. While it can be difficult to invest scarce resources on plans and programs that will hopefully never be implemented, much like homeowners insurance, it is absolutely critical and more cost-efficient to do it now rather than to wait and deal with the fallout later.
Continuity programs don't need to be expensive. They should actually be rolled into your daily functions. So it's not even an expense that you normally would see. It's a business process. It's a thought process that we have to go through. How do we instill continuity into our daily operations?
Continuity plans may be activated for events that occur with or without warning during and after business hours. This introduces the second phase of continuity planning: activation and relocation. After carefully considering the situation, your organization's leadership will decide whether or not to activate the continuity of operations plan. Your organization will have to weigh the extent of the damage and the projected duration of the event, while taking into account any intelligence reports regarding the nature of the threat. Clear and redundant communications are an integral part of a successful continuity program. For example, how will your organization notify you and the other staff members that it has decided to activate the plan? What information is relayed in the message? What if phone lines, cell phone networks, or email servers are down? Communication is critical at the onset of the emergency, when your organization must be able to communicate with its employees, partners, and the public. Organizations may rely on simple manual telephone call tree procedures or an automated calling system that delivers a recorded message. But emergency communications involve more than just a one-way, top-to-bottom information flow. As a member of your organization, you need to be able to report your status. Have you been injured? Are you able to work? An accountability process must be in place to know who is ready to support the organization.
We found that when agency leaders had an understanding of how an event affects their operations and their essential functions, understanding the chain of command and the different roles and responsibilities of themselves as well as their staff, and having contact information, they were far better along in having a successful response to an event than if they didn't have those three things.
Once the continuity plan has been activated, key staff members, known as the Emergency Relocation Group, will typically relocate to an alternate facility while the majority of staff is directed home. The Emergency Relocation Group, which might be known by another name at your organization, will be responsible for conducting essential functions from the alternate site. The group will not continue all of your organization's day-to-day activities, as continuity of operations focuses on conducting only the core essential functions that stakeholders and citizens depend on. The Emergency Relocation Group should have all essential functions up and running within 12 hours of the plan's activation. Depending on the situation, it may be helpful to deploy the Emergency Relocation Group to the alternate facility in phases. For example, an advanced team may arrive first to set up the facility for the rest of the group, opening doors, establishing computer systems, testing communications, and generally readying the site for the arrival of the other team members. Organizations must also consider transportation disruptions. What if you and your fellow staff members cannot access the alternate facility? The incident may have led to road closures, or it may have shut down public transportation. How else can you get to the site? Another critical planning element that deals with activating the plan and relocating personnel is coordination with others. Depending on the situation, your organization may not be the only one affected by the event. For example, was there a government-wide mandate to relocate? What are the neighboring organizations doing? Is the entire city evacuating? Is local law enforcement preventing the use of certain roads? Coordination is integral to ensuring a smooth execution of any continuity plan. When planning, organizations must define their essential functions, then determine if a physical location or options such as telework supports those functions. Organizations may find telework to be a viable part of their continuity strategy in lieu of a brick-and-mortar alternate facility. This may be a good strategy if individuals can accomplish the organization's essential functions from their homes or other locations. Keep in mind that telework relies on the availability of telephone and cellular communications, IT networks, electric power, and external service providers, all of which may have been disrupted by the incident. It is advisable to establish a small physical location where senior leaders can congregate to expedite decisions. Now consider what would happen if none or too few of your employees were able to relocate to the alternate facility or even to work from home. What if the incident injures or kills the majority of your staff? This is a planning consideration known as devolution, where arrangements must be made for other staff, perhaps from a related organization or geographically removed field office, to assume the responsibilities and functions of your organization. This is not an easy transition and takes a considerable amount of planning. Once staff are located safely at the alternate facility or set up to telework, we enter the third phase of continuity: continuity operations. Your organization's main focus is on continuing its essential functions. Of course, these will depend on your organization's mission and the time sensitivity of the functions. When determining priority, remember to weigh not just your organization's needs, but your partner's needs as well. What about the organizations that rely on you? Do any of their essential functions depend on services your organization provides? Continuity planning guidance suggests that your organization should be prepared to work from the alternate site for a period of 30 days. If your primary facility is uninhabitable for longer than 30 days, your organization should have enough time to identify a longer-term facility. During these 30 days, your organization might face some difficult questions. For example, who would be in charge of your organization or one of the divisions if the event injured or otherwise made the leadership unavailable? Are there any particular conditions that must be met in order for a successor to be named? Does your organization have orders of succession for each key position?
Because we didn't have those orders of succession, because we didn't know who was in charge, there was a lot of infighting. It caused confusion, it caused arguments among our staff, and we did learn the value of the orders of succession and delegation as we moved forward. Once we used those tools from the COOP, the tribal COOP plan, it was extremely helpful.
And what about those individuals who are filling new roles that require additional access, authorities, or permissions? Does your organization have the appropriate delegations of authority documented to allow members of the Emergency Relocation Group to efficiently and legally perform their assigned jobs? During the continuity of operations, do not assume that your staff will be able to access their files and records in the same manner. Can you access key databases, software, and files from the alternate facility? What if your organization's servers were damaged during the event? Are there enough computers with the right software available at the alternate facility? What if your organization maintains paper copies of critical records? How would you access those records from your alternate site?
You cannot always count on your vital records being available. Many times we rely on an IT department within our agency or sometimes an outside organization to back up and store our vital records and manage them for us. It's the employee's responsibility, specifically a manager's responsibility, to make sure that the records under their area of authority are available and that those backups are being made, that you have redundant backups, and that those backups are periodically tested.
Your employees will be concerned and requesting support from human resources. Be sure to address questions such as, will your employees continue to get paid if they've been instructed to go home? What if someone is unable to work after the event because they were injured or caring for others? Will staff be compensated for travel expenses to the alternate facility? Does your organization have a process to deal with employee stress, grief, and health? How will your employees balance their own needs with their responsibility to your organization? Continuity planning must also address the challenge of getting back into your primary building or a new one, depending on the extent of the damage. This is Phase 4, Reconstitution. Reconstitution must start soon after the event. The sooner Reconstitution starts, the sooner your organization will be able to return to full capacity. A team should be dedicated solely to managing Reconstitution. Representatives from building management, security, human resources, and finance all need to come together to plan, monitor, and help execute the successful reconstitution of your organization. Staff on the reconstitution team may help with initial damage assessments and provide an evaluation of damaged inventory. They may also take part in ensuring that the new or repaired facility meets the needs of the organization, that all the equipment and supplies are available, and that the building is safe and ready for re-entry. Once the permanent facility is ready for occupation, it may be best to restart operations in phases. This will allow members of the Emergency Relocation Group to continue the mission at the alternate facility, while the rest of the staff gets settled at the new building. Senior leadership may need to re-enter the building first to reassure staff members that the building is safe. Reconstitution planning is a considerable undertaking, requiring extensive coordination and teamwork, and necessitating attention to detail to ensure the long-term success of the organization. To recap what we have discussed during this video, continuity programs exist to ensure the delivery of your organization's essential functions, and do so by accounting for the maintenance and preservation of continuity through leadership, staff, facilities, and communications and technology. So what can you do now, prior to any incidents, to make the continuity process easier? As an organization, identify your essential functions. What resources are required to accomplish them? Develop an overall concept for how your organization will continue those functions. Identify, obtain, and equip an alternate site that can accommodate the personnel and equipment necessary to perform those essential functions. Think creatively on identifying an alternate site. It may be a conference room in another organization's office, a mobile office, or a warehouse where desks and equipment can be established quickly. The needs of the alternate facility will depend on your organization's function. Most importantly, The alternate site needs to be established in a geographic area that was not affected by the same incident, yet is still practical for your staff to relocate to. Develop written plans and detailed procedures to enable your organization to efficiently achieve your concept. Train and educate your staff, all staff, on the plan and their roles and responsibilities during an emergency. Provide your staff with the resources they need to be able to carry out their responsibilities while developing family support plans. Conduct exercises to validate the plan and further refine it. Start small with a simple tabletop exercise that invites leadership and representatives from across your organization to discuss a scenario and planned actions. Then, using a building block approach, include more people and exercise specific parts of the plan to see how each piece functionally works. Finally, conduct a full-scale exercise with the staff stopping work and relocating according to the plan. Work with other organizations. Discuss your plan and how it may affect them. Find out what their continuity plans are so that you can maximize and coordinate resources. Test, train, and exercise together so that you are all better equipped to face the emergency together. So what can you do now, prior to an incident, to make the process easier? As an individual,
Take part in your organization's continuity programs.
we each individually have a critical responsibility to participate in continuity. Get involved. Join the continuity working group to lend your expertise and perspective to the process. Participate in training and exercises. Help new colleagues understand the program. Create a family support plan. Discuss with your family how you will communicate during an emergency, where you'll meet, how children and pets will be cared for. The more you can do now to ensure your family is cared for, the more you'll be ready to support your organization's mission during the emergency. Think continuity in everything you do at work. The goal is to establish a culture of continuity across the organization. Continuity needs to be part of your daily activities, not something you think about only during exercises or real events. Are you taking your laptop home at night? Are you saving your critical files where they can be accessed from the alternate site? Are you ready to relocate without warning?
The Federal Emergency Management Agency has developed directives, guidance, tools, templates, and training products to help you with your program.
Please visit www.fema.gov. We are here to assist you. Together, we can ensure the continuity of your organization, of your community, and our nation.